Hi, Tatiana.
How you doing? How are you?
I'm okay. So I just wanted to go over, as you know, we are inviting you to speak about your experience as RCC for our virtual voices and to celebrate our celebration for Disability Awareness Month that we're celebrating in April for the RCC college community. As you know, RCC, you're not just a number, you're a student, and you are lucky to be an alumni.
Yes,
Congratulations and
thank
kudos to
you.
you. So
Thank
I'm
you
honored
very
that we
much.
were able to invite you. I want to
Thank you
thank
very much
you.
for inviting me.
Yes, I'm grateful and I thank you for at least accepting. Because we contacted several students and I gotta say, you were the one that contacted me the fastest. Although we played phone tag, I'm grateful that you're participating in this.
Thank you. I always believe in giving back, and I have a very unique story. And if I could share it, give some wisdom. If I can share it and give some wisdom, I am glad. I'm very honored that you chose me. Because you probably have a stack of alumni that you could have chose from.
Well, can I
So
say you were one of the first ones that came to mind for me?
thank you very much because I always hold my RTC experience very in high regards. So it's like now that I'm not living it, I can go back with fond memories and give back to so many people have that given back to me. So
Of course. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, as you know, you are a success story. We want to
thank
hear
you.
about your individual success story, as each story is unique. What were your transformative and supportive experiences at RCC? And um, wait, there you go. Yeah. What were your transformative and supportive experiences at RCC? Talk about your experience, your individual story, because I know everyone has a story, but I believe every student's story and their experience is unique to themselves. So I'm going to open the floor so you can speak about your experience.
Okay. My experience is completely unique, and I'm not even just saying that to be funny. It is. I'm visually impaired, and I am um I have cerebral palsy. I am also dyslexic. I am also in a wheelchair. I am also a woman, um,
A strong woman.
a strong woman. Thank you, and I'm also a black woman. So that being said, being all those five things, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I felt like RCC really gave me the opportunity to find myself because in high school you had an IEP. You had an IEP meeting. You had people that was there to help you. And in high school, in RCC, I only had of course I had a good support system, but I only had mostly me, mostly me to go deep into myself and be like, what do you want for your life? What do you want? What do you see yourself? And if I'm being completely honest, RC's, I didn't know where I wanted to go after high school. My guidance counselor was just like, here, apply to RCC. And I'm like, well, you're taking the choice out of my hand, because other people get to make the choice, but I'm really grateful that he took the choice out of my hand, because it being a 2-year school, it gave me what I needed. It gave me the maturity that I needed to find, and it gave me the up and down. The 2-year school, it gave me the support system. And when I go to a school, the three things that I look for how can I how can I take my individuality and make the school my own.
Mhm.
That might sound weird to people, like you're going to school to make it your own. Yes, because it's my own experience. Like I went to RCC. I probably went to I went I stayed at RCC for 5 years. It's a 2-year school, but I stayed for 5 years. Um, and throughout the 5 years, because I can't read or write, I needed to have different aides with me. And throughout my RCC career, I think I had like 30 different aides for each semester. So that being said, um, going through all that, it made me feel very lonely. It made me feel very isolated because I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up to go to school, not to have the outside, not to have the outside drama of going to school. But what I like about RCC and what I wish that my school district, the school that I go to now had, is the community. Like anytime I would go to Udania's room, bawling, tears, crying, guys, I was crying, and it wasn't like a pretty cry. It was like an ugly
Didn't
cry.
matter. What I always told you, my office was a safe place.
It
Let it
was
out how it comes out.
it was such an ugly cry. But the three things that I took away from RCC, it was that you make your own destiny. You make your own destiny. And I really like the fact that you guys are doing this because it's hard. It's hard when you are in school and you have a disability and a pandemic hits. You have anxiety, you're stressed out, but you make your own destiny. It doesn't matter how long you get there, it doesn't matter how many classes you take, use all your resources. If you have a disability, use the accessibility office. Because I wasn't really grateful at the beginning for the disability for RCC's disability office, if I'm being completely honest, because I was like, okay, all right. But now I'm grateful for it because now I need something like that at the school that I am now that I'm not getting. So I like the fact that you guys have community. I like the fact that I like the fact that you have the writing center. The writing center used to be my safe haven. If I wasn't at the writing center, if I wasn't at Udana's office crying, I was at the writing center writing a paper. That's what I like about RCC. They put you first. You're not a number. You're not like I always tell people that I'm always a number. That's how people see me. But when I was at RCC, they knew me as Tatiana, and I like that. Everybody knew me as Tatiana, and that's what I like about RCC. That's what I liked about the teachers, and I like the fact that everybody worked together to make me reach my dreams, even though it took me forever to reach it. But the point I'm trying to make is you start somewhere. It doesn't matter where you start as long as you map it out for you. Because I remember I'm a planner, guys. I'm a OG access planner. So I remember when I went to RCC, I was like, gotta meet with everybody, gotta make sure this school is for me. And I met with um Monica. She came to my last IEP meeting, and they said they upset me, and I slammed the table. Every time I walked in to that office, Monica always brought that up to me. Not because she wanted to know that she heard me. That's the difference with RTC. They hear you. They hear you when you're upset. They hear you when you're angry. And when you have three disabilities like I do, um, when you have three disabilities like I do, it's important to be heard. It's important to be explained. It's important for people to be like, we see you. Because that's the worst feeling in the world, not being able to be seen, not being able to be heard, not being able to be not being able to be appreciated. Because yes, even though I can't read or write for myself, even though I need transportation to get to school, even though I need accommodation letters, but I was still being heard. People still heard me and people still believed in me. But the biggest takeaway is people believe in you if you believe in yourself. So the more you fight for yourself, and I fought for myself. And I like the fact that even though the people at the disability office may not agree with me all the time when I wanted to fight, but they still are like, this is what you want to do. This is our consistency plan. Let's do it together. Because the point of being successful is not for you to be successful, It's not for us to be successful, it's for all of us to be successful. And it's a community. It's a real honest community, and it's really beautiful. And I just want to take the time and say that yes, my story has beautiful moments. It has ugly moments. But the minute I walked on that stage, I kid you not, I walked on that stage with so much pride. So much pride. Because it taught me three things. It taught me three things, and I'm sorry if I am rambling. I like to talk a lot, but
You are
it
not
taught me.
rambling.
It taught me three things. Number one, it taught me that nobody's in charge of your destiny. Number two, it taught me that three disabilities are part of my story. They are not my story. I don't know everybody's story out there, but the third thing I thought was we all have a destiny, and we can choose to let our past define us, or we can learn from our past. So I am really, really, really encouraging you all to learn from your past. And please don't let this pandemic define you. Because at the end of the day, it's not who we are. We're more than this pandemic. And eventually, when we get away from this pandemic, we are going to have such a story to tell. And your story is your story, and you you define your story. Don't let anybody define your story. Because if I let people define my story, I would not have graduated RCC. I would not have graduated RCC. I wouldn't have been went to RCC by myself when I didn't have anybody to go there with me. I wouldn't have been able to go because everybody was just like, "Oh, you can't go. You can't do school. Well, school's not for you. When you're done with high school, that's it. Go somewhere else." And I said, "No, I'm going to challenge myself. The best thing in life we can do is personal and academically is find something that we cannot win and win it anyway. Because who's in charge of our story? Nobody but our own. We're not in a race with anybody. That's why when people are like, it took you 5 years, I'm like, yes, it took me 5 years, but I got that diploma.
And
I
can I
got
tell
it.
you that everybody's success story is different? And what would I always tell you in your mouth is, Tatiana, you got to do it at your own pace. It's not a race, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not graduating on time, and I'm be like, you know what? That's when I do it with pride, and hold your head up high, guys. We gotta learn to hold up our head up with pride, no matter what our situation is. Hold up your head with pride, because let me tell you something. They can't take away our diploma. They can't take away our knowledge, and they can't take away our self-respect.
Right.
They can take our bad grade, and this is gonna sound really bad because I hate getting bad grades. But what I learned is bad grades, and I used to cry. Guys, I would get A's, I would cry. I would get B's, I would cry. But what I'm trying to tell you is our grades don't define us, okay? And that comes from the biggest hypocrite in the world, because I still cry through grades today. But our dignity is what matters. How we treat each other, what matters. How we treat ourselves. Okay, I have three disabilities. You would think I would be home crying, but no, I'm like, I share my story with whoever will listen because my story connects thousands. I love hearing other people's story because we all have a different walk of life, but it
Mm-hmm.
all connects. We all connect because we're all part of a beautiful story that's trying to change how the world sees us. But before we can change how the world sees us, we need to change how we see ourselves in the world.
Exactly.
All right,
So I'm going to go to my next question.
go ahead.
How has your experience in the past year helped you grow?
Ooh, girl. Okay, this is gonna be funny, and I'm sorry if I like to. If I'm sorry if I'm not answering the question exactly how you want me to
No,
answer.
this is your story, and you answer it the best way you can.
But how has this year changed my life? Okay, the pandemic hit. First of all, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Can we be real, America? Let's be real, Rockland. Let's be real. First of all, the pandemic hit. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming. I go to Dominican college now, and that's a 4-year school. But when the pandemic hit, my teacher was like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna switch to We're gonna switch to online. We're gonna switch to Zoom. I was like, I was like, first of all, in person's already hard for me as it is because of challenges that I mentioned before. But now you want me to go on Zoom and do all the technical computer stuff? Not happening. I'm like, what? I can't fathom. So I took at the time I was taking 4 classes when this pandemic hit, guys. 4. Yes, I am. Uh, this pandemic hit me differently. I didn't really get depressed, surprisingly, but I do suffer from anxiety, really bad social and situational anxiety. So at the time, I didn't really have a good support system when the pandemic hit. And so I was always freaking out when I was late signing into Zoom because I'm not the best. What I learned from this pandemic and when I'm trying to preach now is self acceptance, self forgiveness, because I was hard on myself. I took a criminal justice class. It was a criminal justice class online, and the teacher was like, um, I hate asking for extensions. I do, but I realize not because I'm like because when you're in college you want to be treated like everybody else. You don't want to be singled out. You don't want to be not to say humiliated. You go to college to be like, okay, in high school they treated me differently. They looked at me differently, but in college they're not going to do that because I'm in charge of my narrative. So for me at the time, I didn't have a support system like I mentioned earlier. So for me, it was very important. It was very important to act like I had it all together. It was very important for me to be like, this pandemic won't crush me. But guys, when I tell you I ugly cried at night when I could not get my paper done, I ugly cried. I panicked. I freaked out. And then one time I was like, you know what? You're not doing it. You're not doing yourself a disservice because you're pretending you have it all together when you don't. When you don't, and that's a death of that's the difference when you have a disability and when you don't have a disability. When you have a disability, it doesn't matter how much pressure the outside world puts on you. You put more pressure on yourself. It doesn't matter how much you've done. It was like in the past you got this. I would leave her off to say, girl, I don't have this. Then I'll be like, you told me today I had it, but I don't have it. And I'll be at home, and my dad would be like, why are you crying? And I'll be like, Daddy, I don't get it. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's okay not to get it. So I called my teacher. I called my teacher on my cell phone. I was like, I don't have it. I need extra time. My aide is MIA, and I really need to finish this paper. So she's like, yeah, take your time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She said take her time. Like, I was supposed to be okay with that. But knowing me in my head, I'm like, gotta plan, gotta figure it out. But the pandemic changed my life because it, it took away what we love about college the most: socializing, being with people, interacting with people. We don't go to college to be at home on Zoom. We don't go to college to be at home on Zoom. So it's hard when the pandemic hits and you're like, I don't get to see my friends. I don't get to see my teachers. I don't get to go walk around campus. I don't get to join the clubs that I love to join. I don't get the sense of a community. So for me, I feel like this pandemic has taught me efficiency, has taught me, you know what? Life gives you life. Life gives you lemons. Make lemonade. I know it sounds very cliche, but life gives you curveballs. Work with the curveballs to your advantage. Because the beauty of this pandemic is you're not in school. You can do. You can just hop on Zoom and turn on your camera. The teacher doesn't even know.
The teacher sees you, and you can take your time, but use your resources. Like RCC has great resources. Use it. Use the center for the writing center. Use the disabilities office. Use the advisement office. Um use the center use the counseling center. Guys, you have no idea how much I use the counseling center. They all know me by name. Guys, use the resources. They're here for you. They're here for you. That is my biggest regret now that the not being use your resources. Take it from somebody who was there. Like you're not hearing this from an adult. Because I know when we get older, we're like, we don't want to hear it from an adult. You want to hear it from a peer. That way it resonates. I'm begging you, use your resources. Use Uganda, use Monica, use everybody. First of all, honey, it's part of our tuition. So if we don't use it, it's not going to go anywhere. So if it's part of your tuition, use it. Knock on their doors. Bang on their doors if you have to. Knock some doors open. Use it. It's for you, especially during this time. Use it all. And plus, you don't even have to leave your bedroom. You can just hop on Zoom and be like, hey, I'm going to do something this week. And they're really great. Because you don't want to wait till the end of the semester where you're failing a class and they didn't know, so they wouldn't be able to help you. Because that was, I never did that. But I was like, once I heard a bad grade, I was like, oh my God, Latanya, Monica, we need to fix this situation. 'Cause I'm not in the mood to fail people. So please, I know you don't know me, but look at me as a fellow student. You're only as successful as the resources you use. So if you haven't started using them now, it's never too late to start. Because they're always here for you. Because you don't wanna say I'm doing well in the class, and the teacher's like you're not doing well in the class, and then you're like, and then it comes to being May, and then you're like, I have to take this class over. Why do you have to take this class over? It's not because you're not smart, because we're all smart. It's because you're not allocating the resources that are given to you for free. They don't cost you anything. My middle name is free. If free's in it, I'm the first one to sign up. What did you say? You said free? Free this? But guys, please, they're nice people. They're nice people. They really are. I don't talk to people if you're not nice to me. Because then you're going to cause them to have anxiety. But everybody at RCC, they're here to help. They're really caring. Please just use all your resources. And, if they don't work out for you, you can always be like, I listened to Tatiana's video. She told me to use resources. And they're not working out for me. But I'm promising you, I'm not going to put my neck on the line if these resources don't work. Because they do work. And especially during a pandemic, every day I'm like, I wish I had RTC resources now that I go to my different school because now I feel like RTC would have been a better equipped to help me now during this pandemic more than ever.